In this video, I'll demonstrate how to format and add additional report elements to your report in MyAssays desktop. This video is part of a series, so please be sure to view the Introduction to Reporting video. In my ELISA protocol, I can navigate to my Properties Report tab, and on the left-hand side of my screen, I can view the different report elements I've already added to my report. The sample table report element is automatically added to the protocol. The transform content standard curve fit element is added when a standard curve fit transform is added, and the evaluations and validations table report elements are added when evaluations and validations tables are added using these tabs. We can change the report settings by clicking on an element, and we can also choose to reorder the report elements by clicking these arrows. I can add additional information to my report by clicking the Add Element button at the bottom of this pane. Let's start by adding a histogram. Once I've added the element, I can specify the settings. In this case, I'd like to display the raw data. I can define what error bars to display and define which sample types to include. I'll include my standards only in this histogram, so I'll deselect all the other sample types. We can optionally title the histogram, as well as define a sheet name. I'd like to add one more histogram. And this time I'd like to include only my unknown sample type. I'd like to report the concentration matrix. And I'd like to add %CV error bars. Next, let's add a layout report element. This element will include the layout used for the protocol, in this case a 96-well microplate with standards, blank, control, and unknown groups in triplicate. You can select the size of the layout and optionally add a title and define a sheet name. Now I'd like to include a matrix table report element. This element will report the results of each matrix of data, either in separate matrix tables or combined. In this case, I'd like to see them combined into a single matrix table. We can again optionally title the table and define a sheet name. I'd also like to see a matrix view as well. The matrix view will display the result of a single matrix with the option to include heat map or layout coloring. In this case, I'd like to see the concentration reported using the heat map coloring, which will color the cells based on their result, whereas the layout setting would color the cells based on their sample type. In addition to elements that report data, you can also include elements that report text information. Let's first add a text element. Here you can define a title, specify a sheet name, and determine what information to include. You can include static information by clicking this drop-down box and entering the text you'd like to appear. You can also use these macros to automatically add information associated with the assay run. So I'll enter date and double-click current date short, user, and double-click current user full name, and finally protocol, and double-click protocol name. The last element I'd like to add is a notes element. This report element will allow the user to include run-specific notes. You can again define a title, sheet name, and by clicking this checkbox, if no notes are entered in the report, the notes element will not appear. Let's go ahead and add some notes to illustrate the report element. First, I'll click on the Notes button, and then I can simply type the notes that I would like to appear on my report into this yellow box. Let's recalculate to see our changes. Now on our report, you can see a lot more information. It's a little bit overwhelming to have all of our report elements displayed on a single sheet. While all the content I want to see is displayed, it could be organized more clearly. I can easily do this by using Sheet View and Sheet Name. Please view the next video in this series where I'll demonstrate this functionality. If you have any questions about report elements, please email us at support@myassays.com.